Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the blueprint for our urban survival. We're going to look at exactly how we can build smart, green, and truly resilient cities. If you live in a city right now or you're planning to, the concepts we're covering today, they aren't just theoretical. They are literally the foundation of our future. So, let's just get right to it.
Think about this. Right now, over half the world's population lives in urban areas. But by the year 2050, that number is going to hit a staggering 70%. Just try to picture the sheer scale of that migration. We are looking at a massive, unprecedented demand on infrastructure, housing, resources, the whole shebang. And let's be honest, our current urban models simply weren't built to handle this kind of explosive growth.
And because those current models are so strained, this rapid growth brings some really serious daily friction into our lives. You probably feel it every single day. We're talking about choking smog, paralyzing gridlock, overflowing waste problems, and critical water shortages. This isn't some distant threat. This is the daily reality of our urban strain. So, how do we fix it? Here's our roadmap to dismantle these problems. 1. The looming urban crisis. 2. The sustainable city shift. 3. Powering and moving cities. 4. Mastering water and waste. And finally, 5. Future cities and opportunities.
Okay, Section 1. The looming urban crisis, from population growth to climate impact.
This right here is a direct, undeniable chain reaction. It all starts with population growth, which triggers a massive spike in resource demand. That demand, when it's met with old, outdated technology, creates escalating pollution. That pollution then directly drives severe climate impact, landing us squarely in what we call the urban crisis. It's basically a domino effect, and it's one we absolutely have to interrupt.
And again, these aren't just abstract concepts. These are systemic failures happening right now. Take a look at the heavy, hazardous smog in Delhi, the daily gridlock completely paralyzing megacities worldwide, or the massive landfills swallowing up land around our urban centers. The crisis isn't approaching anymore, it's already here.
Which brings us to Section 2, the sustainable city shift, redefining the urban landscape.
Now, a sustainable city isn't just about planting a few more trees or putting a recycling bin on the corner. It's a highly engineered urban ecosystem. It's this incredibly careful, deliberate balance of the environment, the economy, and society. You literally need all three of those working in perfect harmony to actually solve the systemic issues of pollution, traffic, and waste.
So, it requires a total paradigm shift. We've got to move away from the broken, traditional model, the one built on burning fossil fuels, relying heavily on private cars, dumping waste, and wasting water. Instead, we have to transition entirely to a closed-loop system. We're talking renewable energy, electrified public transit, aggressive recycling, and strict water conservation. It's a massive pivot.
To actually achieve that sustainable model, urban planners are relying on 6 connected smart city pillars. We have energy, transport, water, waste, infrastructure, and technology. And the kicker here is that you can't just upgrade one of these in isolation. They all connect together and completely rely on each other to make the city function efficiently. Moving on to Section 3, powering and moving cities, rethinking the grid and the commute. Think about our current setup. Instead of burning fossil fuels at some massive power plant miles and miles away, imagine a decentralized, clean energy flow. We start with rooftop solar generation right where the power is actually needed. That sunlight moves seamlessly into smart building integration, flows into energy storage grids for when the sun isn't shining, results in highly efficient usage, and ultimately leads to radically reduced emissions. It's completely decentralized, and it's totally clean.
And when it comes to transport, the logic is actually very similar. We absolutely have to break the current cycle where private cars dominate. That dominance leads directly to congestion, massive time loss, and severe air pollution. By shifting our infrastructure directly toward electric vehicles, robust public transit, and cycling networks, we arrive at Step 5, clean, flowing transport. It's a real game changer.
Because the data here is just undeniable. A traditional petrol car leaves a massive, high-impact pollution footprint. Shifting to an EV, that drops the impact to low. But shifting populations into electric public transit or a metro system, that drops the footprint to very low. Moving populations out of individual combustion engines and into shared or electrified transit dramatically slashes the environmental footprint of an entire city.
Let's look at the other side of the coin in Section 4, mastering water and waste, building closed-loop ecosystems.
To combat these critical water shortages,
The sustainable city replaces the old use-it-once-and-discarded model with a highly efficient cycle. It all starts with capturing rain through rainwater harvesting. That water goes into safe storage, moves on to municipal usage, and then, and this is absolutely crucial, heads into wastewater recycling. The end result is systemic reuse. Every single drop is maximized.
And we apply that exact same closed-loop logic right to our trash. Cities generate actual mountains of daily waste. But through strict segregation right at the source, advanced industrial recycling, and material reuse, we can drastically reduce what actually ends up in a landfill. We're taking what used to be a massive liability and turning it back into usable materials for the economy.
Now, what connects all these cycles together, the energy, the transport, the water, and the waste, is a powerful mix of green infrastructure and smart technology. We use urban forests and green buildings to naturally reduce ambient temperatures and improve the air quality. But running beneath all of that is kind of like a digital nervous system. We're talking AI traffic control using live data, smart water systems, and real-time pollution monitoring, ensuring the city is constantly optimizing itself.
All of this brings us to Section 5, Future Cities and Opportunities, the 2030 to 2050 horizon.
Building this whole interconnected system requires the Resilient City Master Framework. Notice how the foundation here is environmental protection. Without that base, nothing else stands. Above that sits resource management, then the infrastructure layer, then the technology layer. But right at the very apex, literally the most important part, is citizen participation. A smart city only works if the people living in it are actively engaged with these systems.
And here's the really exciting part. As we upgrade these cities, massive business opportunities start to emerge. We aren't just saving the planet here, we are driving the economy. Upgrading the energy sector creates a massive boom in solar grid installation. Revolutionizing transport requires immense EV charging infrastructure. Managing waste creates a super high demand for advanced recycling plants and green construction. This transition is going to be incredibly profitable.
Between 2030 and 2050, these concepts, they won't be science fiction anymore. Fully integrated smart homes, completely zero-emission transport networks, and seamless digital governance will just be our everyday urban reality. Everything will be an efficient, interconnected system that's actively working to lower our footprint while significantly raising our quality of life.
So, to summarize our explainer today, the rapid growth of our urban centers is undeniably the biggest climate challenge we face. But by linking clean energy, managed waste, and smart infrastructure through AI and smart policy, we take that massive problem and engineer an efficient, sustainable city right out of it.
We know the blueprints are already being drawn. The technology is already arriving. This shift from a traditional, heavy-polluting city to a smart, resilient ecosystem is literally happening all around us right now. Which leaves us with one final, absolutely crucial question to think about. As our cities rapidly evolve by 2050, the technology will be ready, but will you be ready to adapt?